Hello, 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 and welcome to By the Fifth Podcast. It's your boy Roger Trent, but you already know you could call me Tico. What's going on? Well, today we are so excited to be, on the podcast today. I got a special guest today, everybody. Her name is Tonneshea Davis. Now, she has been in the business of property management for over 25 years. That's a long time, people. That's a long time to be in anything for 25 years. Y'all, I don't know people who made it to 25 years of marriage, let alone 25 years at a job where all kind of crazy stuff happens, all kind of crazy people walk up in your office. I mean, anything you can think of that can happen happens at a property, and yet she's been there for 25 years. We are excited to have her on the show. Not only is she, been in property management, but ladies and gentlemen, she is an avid listener. She listens to the show and gets a chance to hear all my crazy stories and things that goes on. And so as you know, we have the flies on the wall. Those are the people who are not in the business, but they listen because they love the stories, and we appreciate y'all out there listening and getting in tune to what's happening in property management. And then we have our community, our property management community. And those are you who are in the business and know all about the highs and lows of property management. So today, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Tonneshea Davis. Yes. Welcome, Tonneshea.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. We're so excited to have you here on By the Fifth podcast today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So, we've been trying to get you on here before earlier, and, we had some difficulty with our system here, and we did some upgrades here. So, hopefully, this does the trick. Now, I wanted to get into this with you today because I think the subject we're talking about is hilarious because all kind of things happen in property management. But first, tell us, how did you end up getting in this business?
Well, my mother was an assistant manager at a community, and I would literally bug the manager almost every day and ask, when you gonna let me work here? I want to do this. I want to be the leasing agent. And finally, he said, tell your mama to train you. And then she did, and here I am.
Now, do you regret those words or were those good words?
Depends on the day that you ask me.
Good answer because it's different every day, right?
Yes, no day is the same.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow. And look, 25 years later, and you're still in property management.
Yep, yep.
So,
I think, yes,
so,
long time.
so tell me this, what is your favorite thing about working in property management? What do you actually look forward to?
Um, I like working around the happy people. um, just meeting new people, learning about their different stories. That part I actually like.
I've met a lot of friends in property management, where people who just walked in my office. I had one girl walk into my office, one of the last properties I worked at, and she was just she had such an effervescent personality, just bubbly and just beautiful smile. And she was, very young at the time. And I said, you know what? You should be in property management. I said, because you got the personality for it. And she was like, really? Like, you think so? I was like, yes, absolutely. And I ended up hiring her, and she's still in the business today doing property management.
Wow.
So I concur. It's great to meet the happy people. Yeah?
Yep,
Yes.
yep. My husband is actually in the business. He's a happy person, and I told him, I was like, you have same thing. You have the right personality for this, and he loves people, and so he's been doing this. about 5 or 6 years now, and he seems to
Okay.
love it.
Yes, yes. And I have met your husband, and he is definitely the people person and get to talking and smile on his face. And yeah, I mean,
Yep.
he definitely fits in this business. And, that was a good choice for him
Yep.
from my perspective.
Hmm.
I have to hear from himself, but from my perspective, I thought that was a good choice.
Yep. Yep. I agree.
Well, well, he married you, so it looks like he's in the business of making good choices.
I absolutely.
I love it. I love it. So let's get into our topic for today. I've entitled this one Losing It, because sometimes you absolutely can lose it at work. Sometimes it's because of residents. Sometimes it's because of people who are in your own office. Um, can you tell me about a time when you have lost it? And we could talk about a couple times if you want to, but tell me about a time when you have actually absolutely just lost it at work.
Yeah. So this was much earlier in my career when I had a little less patience. Um, we were working at a really busy property, and I guess the regional manager liked the way that I answered the phone, but just remember it's an office of 6 people, so 6 people should be answering the phone. And he thought it was a good idea for only me to answer all the phone calls. We were already stressed, and I don't know. I went in the manager's office, and before I knew it, I slammed her door, whoosh. And she's just sitting there, and I'm like, this is the stupidest thing. I don't even know all that I said. I just know that I ranted and went on for about a good 5 minutes, and she just sat there, just stunned, looking at
Mhm.
me. And while I'm going off, my mother also worked in that office. So one of the other employees ran was they went to get my mother, and it was like, your daughter, she, your daughter, your daughter. And I opened that door, and I don't know, but I didn't have to answer the phone by myself.
Right, right. Oh my gosh. Now, what's really funny about that is because you are not a person who loses it all the time. You know what I mean? In fact, I've never seen you lose it, and I've known you for a little while now here. And I've never seen you like that. And what's funny is everybody at some point can lose it, right? Everybody. I don't care what your personality
Yep.
is like. I don't care if you go
Mhm.
to church and you love the Lord. I don't care. You're a
Yeah.
human being at the end of the day, and too much is too much, right?
Yep. Everybody has their breaking
Yes,
point.
yes. And I think sometimes, especially in a work environment, sometimes we can, as managers, put too much on our, employees who are under us. And sometimes our bosses can put too much on us. Sometimes that is not on purpose, right? Sometimes it's just because of, or you felt like this person would be great at this, so you put a lot on their plate. Sometimes because you're understaffed or what have you. How do you think that particular manager could have handled that situation better?
I think she could have spoke up to the regional and said that's a lot for one person. That's a lot of phone calls. I think she just could have had our back a little bit more.
Oh, let's go there. She could have had my back a little more. Because I'll tell you what would set me off. And not necessarily like I went off on the bosses or anything, but I mean, shut the door, put up the blinds, put on the "we'll be back in 20 minutes" sign because I had to have a moment. And those were the moments when
Mhm.
the regional didn't have my back. What do I mean by that? Miss So and so walks into the office with an attitude. and she wants to break the rules. And so I say no, because I am told you cannot do this. You are not allowed to do this. No, you cannot grill on your patio. You cannot do it. It's against the lease, against the law in this particular area. You can't do it. And then she gets upset and she calls the regional, and the regional says, go ahead and fire up the grill. I tell you what, it's that type of thing that will send me through the roof. Have your managers back. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I had a regional like that. This was a different regional. Every time the resident would ask us something, we would say no because that is the policy. And he'll say, okay, literally hold up that one finger, go outside, right outside the door, call the regional, and the regional would give him what he wanted. I was like, oh my God, that used to just burn my whole soul up. Because I'm like, you make us look stupid when you
Yes,
do
yes,
that.
yes. And it shows that they give you no control over that property. It almost makes it like, you're just a sitting puppet there. You know what I mean? And so when the residents understand that, they're like, "Oh, they're just a sitting puppet here." Then we can just do whatever, because we can just call the regional and we'll get it anyways. So it's like, well, why have these rules? Right? Why tell us that we have to enforce these things? We're on property every day, and now you want us to be the bad guy to the point they hate coming into the office, and then they're the good guy. And half the time they're not even in the same state. They're in another state, right?
Yes, absolutely. I will. That now that's when you can get under my skin. I will say in recent years, because I've been with this same company for August will be 21 years. So yes, I know you don't hear that often, do you?
No, no.
But in recent years, they have been really good about having our back. They'll send that resident right back to us. They'll call us first. Hey, and so called us. What's happening? Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna stick with what you said. That's what I'm gonna tell
Yes.
them when I call them back. so that so that's why we be like, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead and
you
call
know what?
regional because
That
they're.
is that. Oh my,
Mhm.
and that's why you're there 21 years. Let me just say that, because I'll tell you what, I I know what it's like to work for a good company. Now, sometimes it could be a good company, but just a bad employee, right? It could be somebody above you who's just, but the company's good. And
Yep.
I worked for a company once,
Hmm.
and RCP Management. They are no longer in business right now. I think they sold all their properties off. But I tell you what, that was one of the best properties I worked for. And the reason why I say that is because, man, they had your back. They really had their properties back. And I'll tell you, I had a disgruntled employee come in, and he just kept harassing and just kept harassing and kept harassing, coming on site. I had to call the police. Like, it was bad, and to the point that I had to get very loud and kick him out of my office, because I couldn't take the bullying anymore, or
Hmm.
distractions. And so he called, our regional, and and said that, I came into the office and Roger cussed me out and blah 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 blah. So the the regional got on the phone with me and the owner, and the owner was like, wait a minute, Roger cussed him out? If Roger cussed him out, then he really deserved to be cussed out. Tell him to have a nice day. Don't call no more. Quit going to the office. you
Yep.
know?
Yes. That's how it was with me. If
Right. What did
if
you do?
Tanisha
Right.
went
It's
off, what
like,
did you do? I'm like that even in my
Yes,
personal life.
yes.
Oh, she went off. What did you do?
It's like
What
they're
did you
not
tell?
wired like that. They're not just a fly off the handle type of person. It's like if he cussed you out, he probably deserved it. He probably deserved it. I'm going to err on the side of caution. I
Yep.
know Roger. So, but I appreciated that. But it
Yep.
wasn't just that, but there were many times, it was like, Roger, this is your property. You are the property manager. We hired you because we believe in you and your ability to manage. So you do it. You need to purchase it, go through the proper channels, but get what you got to get, do what you got to do. And I love that about that company.
Hmm.
But I've also been in, others, that
Yes.
weren't so good. So, but it's hard to go work for another company when you have a company like that. You know what I mean? I'm hence 21 years, right?
Absolutely. Hmm. 21. And at first I used to be like, okay, am I crazy or am I loyal? I don't know. Maybe a little bit of both.
This podcast is being brought to you by Apartment Community Functions. If you need an event, let us know. We can handle it. After all, we evented it. Check us out on apartmentcommunityfunctions.com. And you say that after so much time. Am I crazy or am I loyal? You know what I mean? But and sometimes it's a little of both,
Right.
right? Sometimes you're happy with the companies, and sometimes a part of that is also loyalty. You know what I mean? It's because they were good to you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you say, you know what, I'm gonna stick around, and although other opportunities pop up, you still stick around,
You
you know?
That's how it is. That's pretty much what it is.
Yes, yes. So I think it's important, number one, that, you know, the regionals and, upper management, I think that having your back is important. You know what I mean? I think that's number one. I think also that in regards to managers on site, I think it's important to make sure that you're understanding, the situation, getting a clear picture like, hey, we got 6 people in here. More people can answer this phone. Yes, she's good at it, but does she have to do all of it?
Right.
Right? So I think using wisdom and stopping back and looking at it and say, you know what, and seeing the signs, you can tell when a person it's too much.
Yes.
Can you not?
Yes. Even my assistant now, he never complains. Best assistant ever. And I know that is rare, so I am very blessed. But
Yes.
when I just know him. So when I see he looks like he's stressed, I'll try to pull back. Or if they try to pull him in a different direction, like, no, he's already got a lot to do. Or if residents are coming at him the wrong way, no, that's not, because, when you tell people what they're supposed to do, then they say that you're against them and you're talking to them crazy. I'm like, that's not him. That's not even
Yes.
his heart, you know? So
Mm.
I try to have his back in that way. Um, I went through something really tragic, so I had to be out for a month. But even in that, I was still advocating, like, hey, can you all send somebody there? Send a floater. He's a great worker. You don't want to burn out your good people. So can you send some
Yes.
help for him? So I think, you just watch observe your people and just know, you know, sometimes they may not tell you, hey, I'm overwhelmed, because they might feel like, well, I don't want them to think that I can't do my job. So, as a
Mhm.
manager, it's just something you just have to pay attention and not overdo it, overwork your employees.
Mm. And how do you keep that balance, Tanisha? Because sometimes I know I've worked in offices where there was only 2 of us. You know what I mean? And so the workload, you know, was with just us, you know what I mean? And trying to balance that out. And I know each position has its own accountabilities, but there's stuff that pops up every day that,
Mhm.
it's another thing, it's another thing, and it's another thing. How do you balance that? Making sure that your job is getting done, but also making sure you're not overworking your good people.
Um, I am that's still a work in progress in learning to balance, but when they do ask for PTO or time off, I really do try to honor it if they give me enough notice, because that time off for whatever you need it for, that I don't want to give them a hard time about that. Um, and if they need to take a mental break, look, go take a break. I had one day, oh, it was a lot going on, but we had car break-ins, people, and I wasn't there yet. People are yelling at the assistant, and I said, you know what? Just close the door for now. Lock the door. Don't answer the phone till I get there. Take a break, because I could tell that he was kind of frazzled, and I was like, just take a break. Lock the door. Don't talk to anybody until I get there. Um, because that's really, I just try to be mindful of what they're going through. I don't know what the if it's the proper balance, and even me trying to not overwork myself. Now that no, I haven't found the balance with that yet, because sometimes I'm there for a lot of hours. It's easy to
Yes.
work 10 or more hours a day when you're the property manager, because you just I just want to make sure everything is right and it's done. So,
Yes.
but as far as he goes, oh no, go home. You need to leave at 5. I don't expect them to work overtime. Go home, because I want to go home. So you go home.
Yes. Yes, that's good. I get that because you do need it. It is a balance of work and rest. And it used to be you bragged about not taking vacations. You know what I mean? Like that used to be, oh, well, you're a hard worker. You never take your vacations. You never take your PTO or whatever. You know, but you realize, people dying young because they're stressed out. They never took the vacation.
Yep.
You have to have balance in your life, people. Like you got to take that time off. If you get a week a year or 2 weeks a year, you need to take it,
Yes.
right?
Overworking yourself, that is not a badge of honor. No. Yeah.
No.
Take your time off. Spend your time with your kids. Go to their whatever they have going on, or just be home
Mm-hmm.
with them. Go home. Because if you
Yes.
sick, you die, whatever. These jobs, they're gonna replace you in the moment. I mean, as soon as you're gone,
Yes.
your position is
Yes.
filled. Go home.
Yes, yes. And not only that, but you want a worker who's fresh and got fresh ideas and are excited to be there. And the moment, they've been there 2 years and no breaks and they're working 10, 12 hours a day, trust me, they're not fresh. Those ideas are gone. And one or two things are happening. You're either waiting to fire them or they're waiting to quit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Both, and most likely it's simultaneously happening at the same time, right?
Yep.
You're just waiting to quit and they're waiting to fire you as soon as they can find somebody or as soon as you can find another job.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Mm-mm.
Yeah, so you want them fresh, you want them with new ideas and excited to be there. And no, it's not always going to be up and up peaches and cream donuts on Monday. No, but if you get that rest in there, then yeah, at least you'll have some type of freshness in there. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even with our maintenance guys that are on call 24/7,
Yeah.
and you ain't had another maintenance guy there because you're short staff. You gotta
Hmm.
hire a company, get that man a break,
Yeah.
right?
I agree.
Yeah, I just think that's so important, and I love the fact that, that you're getting that balance, not just for your employee, but for yourself, right? Because how can we lead if we're overworked,
Hmm.
right?
That's right.
Man,
Yeah. I've
yes.
had days where I'm like, I don't want to. Because I'm just, it's too much. I'm tired. And sometimes I'll just go home. You know how you're at work too long and seems like all of your technology decides it doesn't want to work. That is my cue to go home. You know what? I'm shutting all of this down and I'm going home. I'll just start over tomorrow. And I will try to,
I love it.
yeah, take a little mini vacay every now and then. Sometimes it's just staying home doing nothing. And that's just, yes.
Yes, yes. If you don't, your body it'll make you do it. It'll get sick. It'll shut down. You say,
Yes.
"Oh, you don't want to take a vacation? Okay, I got you."
Ooh, I went through that this week. Oh my goodness. I realized how much I do. So I'm not just a property manager, I'm a lot of other things. And I am okay, so I'm a life coach, I'm a minister, I'm a mom. I had to do a sermon this Sunday. And when I agreed to it, I was like, that's great in theory. but but when you do a sermon, you got to do some extra studying and preparing. So I'm doing that
Mhm.
plus my already busy manager stuff. Then I'm doing payroll and I'm doing these reports and all of this and all of my home stuff. I was so overwhelmed. My body, literally, I was fighting fatigue for the last 3 days until this morning
Mm.
after I gave the sermon. It's like, oh, I'm not tired now. I just a couple of times went to sleep because I couldn't get it together.
And that's another good point. We are all, most of the time wear many hats. We all wear many hats, right? Um, you're a parent. You got games to go to and recitals to go to. Then you're a spouse. You have to make sure that you spend time or tend to the needs of your spouse. You're working in as a volunteer, maybe at a church or some type of community.
Yep.
So there's a lot that goes on in our lives, and I think sometimes people tend to forget that. You can see it through yourself, but it's hard to see that through other people sometimes. Like, well, they have a lot going on too. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And I think if we could see that as well, I think it'll be a little bit easier to have empathy for that young girl who's been answering the phone by herself, all day long.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah. And I think, sometimes when you're on site and residents, yes, they're angry because maybe their toilet is broken. I always tell people we are the last straw at the end of the day. So I try not to take it personal what they come in yelling at us with or frustrated with, but you got to think all day they've probably dealt with whatever they're dealing with at work. Maybe they're sick, somebody's in the hospital, this is happening. Oh, I can't pay my bills. And I get home and now my toilet is broken. So they come in and they're frustrated with us. They're yelling and all of this. And, we like, okay. But I think they too also forget, yes, we're at work, but we also are human. And
Yes.
we don't deserve to be yelled at either. And sometimes people will come back and apologize. That's cool.
Mhm.
I have a motto. I have lots of them that I go by, but one of them is don't do things you have to say I'm sorry for. Think before
Mm.
you react. Think before you speak. Just
Wow.
pause. That pause, it really does help.
Mm. That's good. That's very good. Don't do something you have to apologize for. Wow, that is really good. You are right. Residents, and I love that also about, you're the last straw, at the end of the day. They've been through all of this stuff and then they come to home and it's like there's a note on their door and that's like the last thing. It's, what do you mean I'm not going to have water tomorrow? What do you mean? You know, it's like, no, I totally get that, and as a homeowner, I don't have nobody to frustrate that to.
Right.
I kind of wish I had a property manager that I can fuss out and blame it on. You know
Yes.
what I mean? But I can't. It's like my hot water heater. This is ridiculous. There was water all over my floor.
Yep.
I'm calling my lawyer. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I own it.
Right.
Ah,
Yeah.
darn
Darn, can't fix it.
it.
Crap. I love the one where people in their cars, you sometimes may run into car break-ins and things like that, and they want you to
Mhm.
compensate them. No, read your lease.
Yeah.
Your lease says
Yes.
we don't provide security. We
Yes.
do not replace anything. Read your lease.
Yeah, because you want to blame somebody. I mean, it's like you want somebody to be responsible.
Hmm.
It's like I had a resident once who he he had the worst. I don't believe in luck, but if there was luck, he had the worst of it because this man, he came home and somebody left the washing machine running upstairs. And I got clogged and the water all ran over and it all went into his apartment. And he came into my office and he cussed me out. You're gonna pay for all of this stuff that's wet in my apartment. I'm like, well, not me personally. I'm not paying for anything. He was like, oh, yes, you darn well will. I've got wet clothes. I got wet beds. I got wet furniture. Do you know how much that furniture costs? I'm like, sir, do you have renter's insurance? What does that have to do with anything? It has a lot to do with everything if you want to get that stuff paid for.
Hmm.
My renter's insurance doesn't have nothing to do with it. Y'all are paying for it. Well, you got a quick lesson in renter's insurance because we didn't pay for nothing. You know what I mean? We didn't pay for anything. The man had to go buy new stuff. I felt bad for him, but it was a lesson for him.
Hmm.
Guess what? He moved out of that apartment. We put him into another apartment. Somebody left the tub running upstairs. Same guy.
Oh,
He came into my office. Dad, nabbit! Somebody left the water on upstairs again. I swear these apartments are cursed. They're cursed, I tell you. I was like, what are the chances, man? Like, I didn't leave the water on. I didn't pay the people to leave the water on for you.
oh
My
my
question to
God.
you, sir, is did you get renter's insurance? Well, luckily that time he got renter's
Ooh, I
insurance.
thought you were gonna say
So,
he didn't get it.
oh my goodness. I thought he was going to say he didn't get it. I was going to be like, dude, did you not learn from the last one? And he was like, well, I went and got renter's insurance this time, but that don't pay for the headache. I was like, I got you. I understand,
Mhm.
but sir, I mean, what are you going to do? They left the water on the tub.
And this is
Hey,
why you need insurance, because you just never know what your neighbor's gonna do.
yes. Or an upstairs apartment.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I know. And I'm going to be doing a segment on renter's insurance because that is so true.
Hmm.
But yeah, Tonneshea, we're going to get ready to wrap this up and here's my question for you. What advice do you have? I was a young manager and I made a lot of mistakes at other people's expense, and I think they may watch this podcast and say, boy, I can't stand that guy. He really messed me up. You know what I mean? It wasn't purposely, you know what I mean? But, I'm the type of person, if I stayed 12 hours, doggone it, you can say 10. You know what I mean? That was the way I felt, and back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm here at 6 in the morning, even though I don't have to be, you can be here at 8. You know
Uh-huh.
what I'm saying? It's like I had a different type of, mentality in the beginning. But what advice do you give these young managers that are coming in to help them not just be a good leader, but good stewards over the property that they're entrusted with?
Um, Listen to your team. Every I think it let me see. I like my leadership is more of a democracy. um I listen to my team, I get their ideas, and we come together, and come up with the solution. I think also be empathetic to your coworkers, maybe their personal lives. Though we shouldn't bring our personal lives to work, it's attached to you, so some part of it will spill over into your professional life. So try to be empathetic with that while still maintaining the balance of, okay, but we do got a business to run. Um, and just be patient. You need a lot of patience to be in this industry. Period. Not just being a manager, and giving people grace, especially when you have the resident that comes in who has just blew up at you. Don't take those things personal. You don't have to take all their energies with you. While we're sometimes dealing with a whole lot of negative energies, we can take that stuff on. And you have to make a conscious effort to find uh, healthy coping mechanisms when you're dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety. Because me personally, I have to say out loud, they are not going to leave their anxiety in here. They cannot leave that negative energy in here. So, but I guess that's probably what I would go with.
That's great. That is so good. So good. Well, Tanisha, it's been great rapping to you about losing it here at the office, And if y'all get a chance, go on Google and look up Had a Bad Day. And there used to be a song out called Had a Bad Day, but there was a video attached to it where it's showing people from work losing it, where they are taking their computers and throwing it through the window
Ooh,
and and flipping over stuff. It's hilarious because although I've done none of those things, I've wanted to do all of those
yes,
things. So
like Office Space.
yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh. So, people, listen, take a breather. Have communication with your coworker. Have that communication. Have that talk. Pull them aside and say, "Hey, this is too much," or "I need help," or "I need support." Have that conversation. Use your sick days. Use your time away. I mean, we don't want you at work if you're sick anyways, but use your vacation days and go off and take a breath and come in fresh with new ideas so that your business can prosper and grow, because as they do, guess what? So do you.
Yep.
Well, you've been listening to By the Fifth Podcast here with your boy, Roger Trent. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend all about us. Please do. If you haven't subscribed yet, shame on you. You need to make sure you do it today. Click that button. It doesn't take long to do at all. But tell your friends in the business, send them a clip of this podcast right here, Losing It, so that they can learn from it as well. Well, God bless, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now. The name is Trent, Roger Trent, but you can call me Tico. What's up?